news-gathering mode all morning long. I got all manner of Titans news to talk about. I'm ready to rock. I'm fresh off vacation. We got the band back together. Lucas decided to call out sick because, of course he did. And the thing that first greets me as soon as I return, ready to start another training camp, ready to get back into the swing of things, ready to take the day by the horns and conquer all comers, is a Titans report from 2020. What is that, 3? What? Look at you. You're upset back there. I'm so happy that you decided to come back to work Friday, by the way, after I had left. You coward. Where have you been? What are you doing? Whose fault is that? Who do I yell at? What the hell just happened to start the show?
It was a clerical error. Clerical error.
Yeah.
And where was I? I was sick.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry you had to do your show by yourself with your name on it. Big strong Buck has to do his show by himself. Oh, it's so hard. It's so hard to do my show.
Oh, no. He's defensive. He thinks I'm going to blame him for a Titans report that's 3 years old.
It wasn't me.
I'm going to blame somebody.
Don't blame me.
Oh, my God.
I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm a little irritable.
Are you?
I haven't had a cigarette in a week.
In a long time.
In over a week.
Yes, I know.
This weekend I thought about getting some gum, some patches, something.
Some Zins.
When I yelled at my cat for meowing at me, I was like, okay.
Oh, no, did you really?
Well, I was in the shower, and this dude's
really
like, meow, meow, meow. Like,
buddy, I'm fielding phone calls this morning from God knows how many people about the fact that Will Levis is ending his season on July 29th after 6 months of dealing with this shoulder surgery and trying to figure out, all right, whose idea is this? What happened? Why did it happen now? Who's what mitigating circumstances behind the scenes are you actually not telling us about that would make this the decision that comes to pass? All I know is the Titans want it very clear that this is a Will Levis decision to have a season-ending shoulder surgery coming up next week, and that this was not something that they are not disapproving of the decision. They have put out a statement to the effect of supporting Will Levis in his decision, but the thing that they want everybody to know very, very loudly is, hey, guys, this was his call. That's the news of the day. Now, this has been something that's been in the works, my understanding, for a couple of weeks, trying to figure out, all right, what made the most sense for him moving forward. Everything that he told us, everything that Brian Callahan told us, is that they were pleased with the offseason progress. There was not one iota, not one discussion about shoulder discomfort, about continuing to have lingering issues from the sprained AC joint that cost him 3 games. And I don't know if it cost him his starting job. He cost himself his starting job, but it certainly didn't help to get himself knocked out in, what was that, week 4, week 5 in Miami in the first quarter, and then miss 3 games as a result, come back, try and survive, get benched, and, figure it out from there, everything that went down in the 2024 season. But Will Levis will not be playing football in 2025 by his decision. After consulting with multiple medical experts, Neil Elatrosh was one of the surgeons I know he reached out to. I know he reached out to several others, trying to figure out what was in his best interest. But ultimately, he and the people around him decided, okay, shut it down. This is what makes sense for you right now. And there are plenty of people with plenty of different opinions on that. And we will be happy to take your phone calls throughout the course of the morning. 615-737-1045 is how you get in there. What is your reaction to Will Levis getting season-ending shoulder surgery the day before? I guess quarterbacks are already here, but the day before everybody else reports for training camp tomorrow. F&M Bank Chat is also at your disposal. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch. If you would like to get involved there, where I'm greeted by such thought-provoking comments from Adam Lehman saying he knew he wasn't beating Ward out, LOL. Yeah, okay. Let's start with the most obvious bit of analysis that you could possibly offer. No kidding. He wasn't going to beat out the number 1 overall pick at quarterback that is here specifically because he sucked so bad. Yes, of course, that was going to be the case. It's got nothing to do with whether he thought he could beat Cam Ward out or not. If you thought Will Levis thought he had a reasonable chance to get the job from Cam Ward after the organization said, no, we wipe our hands of this. So when was the Bengals game? Week 15? Week 15 is when they finally sat him down for performance as opposed to the rest of it. Drafted a quarterback number 1 overall. Yes, of course, he wasn't going to beat out Cam Ward for the starting job. I'm talking about beyond that. I'm talking about the other forces at work here, the Titans, the representation. Will Levis is a CAA client. If you think they don't control the entire sports universe, I regret to inform you that you need the scales removed from your eyes, because there is going to be some planning, some thought given to this decision, and some lack of engagement on both sides that would lead potentially to some advice of, all right, what do we think about shutting it down right now? We can get into that throughout the course of the morning. We can get into a variety of different things throughout the course of the morning if you are so inclined. 615-737-1045, like I mentioned, is the number. Robert is back. Lucas is still recovering from his Brazil trip. He expects to be back here tomorrow. He damn well better be, because I have press conferences to go to, and he needs to hold it down while I go to the press conferences so we can kick off training camp. Mike Borgonzi and Chad Brink are going to speak tomorrow, and then we will get into it full force with training camp the rest of the way through. The show will be out there Wednesday and Thursday. We will be out there for the remainder of training camp when practices are open. Some practices we will be out there that are not open to you guys, but we're looking forward to getting back into the swing of things together. And, of course, if you're in attendance at the Nissan Stadium Open practice on, I believe that's Saturday, for Back Together weekend, we're looking forward to seeing you in the house there, too. What thoughts do you have back there? You've had your microphone open and staring at me, waiting for me to shut up.
No, I assumed you would poo-poo Will Levis for prioritizing his health and not risking injure someone else, getting someone else sick, since you'd like to poo-poo me last week.
Oh, you think a sprained AC joint is a contagious situation?
It could be. If he throws a bad ball, maybe leads somebody into a hospital ball, they get hurt because he can't put the ball where he needs to. He's just prioritizing his own health, which now, as someone who's been 100% healthy their entire life, I've never been sick until this last week, I can side with. I understand where he's coming from. After having to sit through the gruels of urgent care and the hacking, the trials, the tribulations of overcoming bronchitis. Oh, yes, you would never. You would never. But it's like, do I go to the hospital for my medical appointments?
I would rather have somebody come to the house than go to urgent care. Are you nuts?
I have a house doctor who shows up, takes my blood work, does all that at home, so I don't have to be around the sick people.
Can't I do that like my barber? My barber just comes to the house now, too.
Do doctors still do house calls?
If you have enough money, the answer to all of your questions is yes. But I will explore that situation.
All of that to say, I side with Will Levis. I feel very seen.
Now, do you actually? Or do you have an actual opinion on this, or are you just trying to hide behind Will Levis news today so that I don't spend my time alleging that you were faking sick all last week until your butt buddy comes back?
Do you want me to exhale into the mic so you can hear that I'm not faking?
Actually,
that's what you get.
Oh,
that's what you get. You did that.
So happy.
That's a sadness that you chose. My real opinion of this is
I think that's what you sound like anyway when you
given
your habits. I think you can hide behind that if you want to, but that's just the sound of years and years of cigarette smoke building up in your lungs.
It's not true. We've got real stuff to talk about. My opinion is this is kind of like a save me for later moment for Will Levis. In my opinion, it kind of looks like, okay, I don't really want to play backup. I would really like the opportunity to compete somewhere. And if I'm not going to compete, I would at least want to be behind someone who is an established veteran. So I'm just going to check out. I'm going to take the year. I'm going to accrue the year of NFL usage to get closer to my veteran status. And I will come back next year, and maybe you'll be in a position where you would like to trade me or you would like to give me an opportunity elsewhere.
So everything that I understand about this, and we're by the way, we expect to have more Titans news throughout the course of the day. There's going to be medical transactions that come down beyond just Will Levis. I don't expect there to be a transaction with Will Levis. All I know is that he is not going to be there when the rest of them are out on the practice field on Wednesday. But there will be news. Femi Oladejo's contract remains unsigned. He's one of the few second-round picks who still has not agreed to terms. I also expect that to happen if he misses training camp practice because of an unresolved contract situation. It would be an upset. So we will keep you updated on the latest with that. As we mentioned, there are still other things to discuss. So it is going to be a very newsy day. Whether we get all of the news while the radio show is on air, I don't quite know that specifically just yet. Transactions don't have to be made official by the league until 3 p.m. Central Time. So if they go long enough until the transactions, you'll get it at the tail end of Blaine and Zach, or you'll get it at the start of 3HL. And certainly we'll have A to Z Sports Primetime tonight at 7 o'clock to react to all of the news that gets done today ahead of report day. But there will be more things to come. Will Levis is just the start. It's just your little bit of, it's your first hit, your free-basing Titans training camp news as you get back into the swing of things here. And this is just a little thing to wet your beak, because it's not really of great consequence to your football season upcoming, but it is a newsy item for you to chew on and just be like, ooh, that felt nice. Not for Will Levis, obviously, but you getting Titans news, getting back into training camp, getting actual football players on a football field here throughout the course of the week. What are you laughing at about that?
Just you dropping freebase. We're 12 minutes into the show, and you just dropping freebase.
They are like drug addicts out here, okay? They are trying to snort, inject, smoke, all the different Titans or football-related stuff that they can. I'm feeding the addiction here a little bit. I'm an enabler.
It does feel good. It does feel good to know.
Look at you.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
Yeah, you're buzzing a little bit back there.
I don't want to get happy over someone else being hurt or anything like that. But over the weekend,
of course and let me say that first of all, this sucks. This sucks.
It does suck.
It genuinely sucks for Will. I understand that his performance is the reason why he is the biggest reason why he is no longer the Tennessee Titans starting quarterback. But on aggregate, his situation has sucked. Some of it earned. This is not an earned situation.
But in another aspect, when I saw Lions defensive lineman Levi Onwuzurike this weekend get put on injured reserve, I was like, oh, that sucks. Like, the Lions' injury luck is continuing to be poor going into 2025. But also, it means they're practicing. It means people are hitting people.
Injury reports?
Don't get me started.
If only Ross was here so we could make the snorting sound.
Enos Rakestraw Jr. has a chest contusion. Give it to me.
Chest contusion.
That's what he put up on Instagram. Be like, I'm fine. I'm not hurt. I'm like, yes.
See, I thought the heaviest drug use was going to be my week out in California. Here, I'm trying to clear myself of the pollution, and we just get the drug of football. It's back. 615-737-1045 if you want to jump in at any given point. We'd be happy to have you. We're off and rolling. Will Levis is out for the season. We've got more details on why, the timing of it, and your phone calls coming up next. Welcome back to the show, fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken. Back from California, training camp report day is tomorrow. The first day of practice is on Wednesday. Will Levis, he's done for the year. If you're just now joining us, that news came out this morning. The rumblings of it started a couple of weeks ago because he was exploring additional medical consultation. And the question that the vast majority of you seem to have is, why right now? Does it make sense? He is scheduled for surgery on the 29th. As I understand it, the team has put out a statement regarding supporting Will Levis, but again, making it clear that it is Will Levis's decision and not a team decision to shut him down at this point in time. There are reasons for that. I can expand on those for you throughout the course of the morning. There's a couple of different details I think that matter here. We're also going to talk about the state of the Titans quarterback room. Does it matter if the backups suck? If Cam Ward, God forbid, something is to happen to him, because now there is no disputing that there is no competition for the Titans' number 1 overall pick in camp this coming, this coming week as we get that thing off and rolling. But now it becomes, all right, well, what about what's behind him? Does it matter? Are you trying to salvage your season if something does happen to Cam Ward, or is there some logic to not necessarily prioritizing a better backup quarterback situation if the number 1 overall pick on a roster that's suspect anyway goes down? There's a lot of different implications from this to work through. We are also waiting different things that will start or that will be announced ahead of training camp, like players who will begin on the physically unable to perform list, the PUP list. There are likely going to be some names of note that you need to pay attention to, and that will have, again, consequences on how the roster takes shape, what the competition looks like, and how good of a football team they're actually going to be able to field at the start of the season. We'll take your phone calls in reaction to the Levis news first and foremost. You will hear let's hear from Will Levis before we get to the phone calls, because we do have a few to take. 615-737-1045 is the number. Will Levis spoke a couple of different times during the OTAs and mandatory minicamp. This, I believe, was Levis at OTAs, talking about the state of things as he came back working with Cam Ward, who had been drafted number 1 overall.
It's been fun getting back here with the guys. We're not training on my own out in California, so that was a lot of fun for about 7 weeks. And had some time with the family and time to enjoy the rest of my life outside of football.
What'd you learn from going out to California with Jordan Ball?
There was a lot of just kind of relearning my stroke, just relearning like my body and trying to get back to the basics of him, and I feel like it's definitely paid off. Been feeling good the last few weeks.
What's it feeling like for you going into year 3 and obviously with some new faces in the room? What's it feeling like for you going into year 3 and obviously new faces in the room?
I feel more and more comfortable every day. It's all it takes in this position is just reps and experience, and try to take advantage of it anytime that I can to improve. I'm just pumped about not having to learn a new offense. So that's been fun to kind of get to the level 300, 400 of the playbook, and being able to go out and just run anything without really even talking about it, which is cool.
What have you liked about the competition, not just with Cam, but also the working relationship that you guys are developing?
Yeah, we got a good room. I feel like I've been blessed and able to be in just some great rooms with great guys in my career, and we are able to keep it light when we need to and talk about things outside of ball, and then bring it back in, hone in, and we got a lot of smart dudes and a lot of guys with a lot of experience to be able to lean on in the room, so it's been great.
Brian said he wanted.
So that's Will Levis. We asked him about his shoulder. He gave no indication that he was dealing with pain. My understanding is he went through, that's Will Levis at OTAs. My understanding is that he went through the entirety of it, was considered full go, gave no indication that he was struggling, or not much indication that he was struggling, dealing with lingering pain stemming from last year's AC joint injury that he suffered in Miami. Brian Callahan, you'll hear from him later on in the show too. Brian Callahan gave no indication that it was anything but positive momentum for Will Levis. So what happened between middle of June, start of June, and today, where in 8 days from now, he's scheduled for season-ending shoulder surgery after having this injury since October of last year? 615-737-1045 is the number. Should we require Lucas to bring a Chat GPT generated poem? The chat our live stream chat, is alleging that we should have Lucas bring another poem for tomorrow, something Will Levis-centric. Does that feel gratuitous, or should it be an apology poem on behalf of Lucas for taking the entire week off when we could really use an extra set of hands around here?
I don't think it needs to be a poem. I think that it needs to be an adaptation to this. I think it might need to be a song. Would be more.
It can be a poem, but a storytelling poem. It doesn't have to be an apology poem.
Yeah, I don't want it to be bound by 6 stanzas, 41 words. I don't want it to be bound by that.
You mean like the one that Mike Wilson wrote me for my birthday yesterday? Did you see what Mike Wilson wrote?
For what?
For my birthday yesterday.
Your birthday was yesterday.
My birthday was yesterday.
How old are you, 42?
Don't act like you didn't post something just to get a couple extra Twitter followers.
Yes, I did. Yes.
You're not slick as a fellow clout monster, all right? I'm familiar with your behavior. Mike Wilson of the Knoxville Sentinel wrote me yesterday, "You are beauty, you are grace. Unlike Lucas, you don't suck. You're such a cutie. You have such a great face. Happy birthday, Buck." See, that's all it has to be. That's a professional writer.
Happy birthday to him.
We do not care.
I don't care. Good luck.
Well, yeah, now it's over. Now you don't have to care.
Well, I mean, I was worried that you were going to come back and do the whole, my birthday's a whole month. This is my birthday month now.
No, my birthday ends when training camp starts. My birthday is the last weekend before training camp every year. So it's my last grasp at freedom before football overtakes all of our lives, and then I put the rest of it to bed and move on. But then the 3 weeks preceding it, that's my birthday.
What was the best thing you received for your birthday?
We can get into that later. We're talking about the quarterbacks right now. 615-737-1045 is the number. Jacob is in St. Louis, wants to weigh in on the Will Levis situation. Go ahead, Jacob.
Morning, gentlemen. So real quick, maybe not a poem, a haiku. I feel like that'd be more challenging. I got a quick question, a quick comment. The first is King of the Hill is coming back August 4th. If you remember, Luann's boyfriend made his living off of the slip pee-pee money off the chip factory. So I'm wondering if this is Will Levis's last year with us, assuming so, how much that Hellman's lifetime contract could carry him. The second thing is, I'm just more intrigued. It's like, you maybe get like a 2026 7th for him, even before this, right? It's like, there's no secret he's not going to be here. But it's like, I don't know. At that point, it's like kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel. It's like, do you hold off on that maybe? Because nobody's going to start him this year. Or is it the difference between like a 2026 7th or a 2027th? Thanks, gentlemen.
Thanks for the call. This is why I think, Lucas gave me a hard time because I crushed Will Levis when the mayonnaise stuff came out. When the mayonnaise nationally televised commercial campaign came out last year, because I said, what is this person who has yet to play really a meaningful season in the NFL? I know he had a hell of a debut and 4 touchdown passes, and that's when he'll always have that, I guess. And then everything that came after the fact was far less enjoyable, but I crushed him for it because I was like, who the hell is this person to sell us anything right now? You have not accomplished anything of consequence in the NFL. And Lucas's point was, yeah, but how much longer is he going to be able to make money? You don't know that. You should back off a little bit. And I do understand that. I do completely understand that. And he's still doing ads on his Instagram. It's not quite as public as the nationally televised commercial Hellman's mayonnaise campaign. He's doing more social media ads at this point in time, but that is a good point. Now, he does get, it's my understanding, based on talking to Ramon, he does get an accrued season when they put him on injured reserve, right? So he does get a year towards the NFL pension. That's a huge deal. An accrued season is critical for these guys as they move forward. But the caller brought up the idea of trading him for something, and I will tell you right now that and Brian Callahan talked about lip service, not paying lip service to just the idea of Will Levis improving. The lack of interest in trading Will Levis this offseason did contribute to the decision. Now, is it completely why the decision was made to shut him down, or for him to elect to have this surgery right now when he could have gotten it, when the injury happened and shut himself down for the rest of last year, when his season was over and he was getting ready for the offseason or heading into the offseason? The several months leading up to voluntary work and OTAs and mandatory minicamp. He could have done it then. He could have had the surgery in the 6 weeks that we have been off because the NFL has been on vacation for 6 weeks. But Will Levis is a CAA client. CAA client, Creative Artist Agency. They run the world. You just don't really know it. Or you maybe do, but you don't know quite the extent of it. And they have a lot of power and a lot of say in how your favorite athletes, your favorite brands, your favorite artists, your favorite musicians, your favorite actors, all these different things that fall under the label of CAA, they have a great deal of influence in how decisions are made or how decisions are influenced, shall we say. And I know that there was some interest on behalf of the people that represent Will Levis in seeking a trade, and that the Titans had expressed publicly and to some extent privately, depending on what they're getting for him, yeah, we're good. We don't feel the need to move him. There's no great hurry. There's no great urgency. Now, the logic to explain that away has always been, well, they got to let him see. They got to let him play through preseason. He's got to try and recoup as much of his, or rehab as much of his image as a professional quarterback as humanly possible. And then should he showcase himself to be good enough for a team to even offer a seventh in a Malik Willis type of situation, to just wait until the end of training camp, be like, all right, you're going to cut this guy? Or you're going to give us him for a seventh, and potentially we can turn him into something without having to spend a higher level draft pick or a higher value draft pick. It could have gone that way for sure, but the Titans seemed pretty comfortable. I won't say entrenched. Entrenched feels like too far, because there could have been an offer that would have made them stupid for not taking it if Will Levis was involved in a trade for, say, a third-round pick. Of course, that would have been nonsense. Nobody would have done that. But say the third-round pick hypothetical exists, of course the Titans would have taken it, because Will Levis cost them a second and a third. Anything you can do to recoup that sunk value, that sunk cost, of course you're going to do it. But the Titans' lack of interest in trading Will Levis this offseason absolutely contributed to this decision. You see Nate Washington on Twitter?
I did.
He's
scathing.
Crushing. You want to read some of those tweets?
I can look it back up. I've seen it, but
pull them up for the audience. Nate's going to come on the radio show later in the week. We're going to find a day where we're not out at training camp that makes it easier for us to facilitate a Zoom interview with Nate, because we do enjoy his opinions, and obviously as a former player, he'll have a different level of insight here.
Nate says, that Levis decision / timing was intentional. Not going to have me believe anything else, #Titans, to which he replies 30 minutes later to his own tweet, before you tell me your detailed opinion, please remember, I'm here to tell you right now, is that Stephen A. We don't care. We don't care.
Nate is one of my favorites for a great many reasons, and I know Titans fans have a special place in their hearts for him too. But how Nate conducts himself and the conviction in which he offers those opinions is always something that I've appreciated. We're going to get back to the phone calls, and we'll get back to the Will Levis story here in just a second. 615-737-1045 is how you want to jump in, or is how you can jump in if you want to. What you were going to want to do is go to the Williamson County Fair, the 21st annual Williamson County Fair, 9 days of fun, rides, food, and family entertainment. Robert, this sounds like something you'd be at. August 1st through the 9th, and we have chances for you to win tickets. You can listen all week long to win, or sign up online now at 1045thezone.com/contests. It's the Summer Nights and Fair Delights of the 21st annual Williamson County Fair. Easy for me to say. You can get your tickets now at williamsoncountyfair.org.
August 1st to the 9th, huh? That's in my birthday. You could take me to the fair.
I don't care about that. That's training camp. Birthdays are over. My birthday's done, so now then there are no other birthdays.
You don't want to come over and watch King of the Hill? It comes out on my birthday. Happy birthday to me.
That actually does sound like a good time. Like,
Right.
You pop a gummy, you settle in, you have a King of the Hill watch party, you're having a big time.
Oh, everybody has to dress up like a character. I choose Dale.
Oh, that's a fun topic for another day when we don't have actual news. I came in all excited. I was like, we don't have to BS our way through the show anymore. We've got news, and we're talking about a King of the Hill watch party. There are a couple of different things here that are interesting. Again, why wait now? Why wait until now? So the idea that the Titans didn't want to trade him is a contributing factor. It's not the only factor that matters because, of course, I think it's completely fair for him to want to come in because that's the pushback that we're going to get the most today, right? What Nate is saying, that the timing was absolutely intentional, and of course the timing was intentional. These things don't happen on accident. They don't. This wasn't just something that came up a couple of hours ago and people got a hold of it and said, "Oh my God, shocking! Will Levis is shutting it down for the season." No, this was not an overnight decision. Will Levis came in to his tenure with the Titans as somebody who was thought of as a high-value, low-risk proposition. I remember, and we talked about it on there, I was texting people that were in the room when they drafted the kid, okay? Rand Carthon, Mike Vrabel, Amy Adams-Strunk, all the different people associated with their respective staffs that were involved in the trading up to draft Will Levis. How much further they tried to trade up for Will Levis has been discussed. Famously, there were some ongoing conversations with the Vikings that did not come to fruition that would have seen the Titans go up into the first round to trade Will Levis, and that would have all felt much, much ickier after the fact, had that actually happened. But you give up a second and essentially a future third, for the right to draft Will Levis. Then, after Will Levis shows you at least something, right? We all came away from Will Levis's rookie year understanding that Tannehill was on the way out and that there were going to be some things that needed to fall into line for Will Levis to be a success here. But you came away from that rookie season thinking, okay, that's a player that belongs at the NFL level. He looks like he belongs, not just physically, because he still is he is the one who looks, out of the four of them that are on the roster, he's the one that physically looks the most like he'd be an NFL quarterback. He's more physically imposing. He's got the bigger arm. He's got all the different things that you think a quarterback should have. He's a hard worker. He is somebody who's fine in practice. He is somebody who is completely adept in the meeting rooms. He's highly intelligent. It's just that he melts down when it gets into games, and that's not something that you can control, or more importantly, if you're a coaching staff, trust. So they build out around Will Levis, taking a risk, and there's always risk involved in the roster construction process, but taking a risk, a $228 million risk, around this being the guy, let's push the chips in. We've got money to spend. We don't have players to pay with the money that we've got. And then the bottom falls out in ways that you already thought the bottom fell out. 6-11 felt like the bottom falling out. And it may have been under a different administration. But without the different things in place, the stability that even if you didn't like Mike Vrabel or how things went at the end, there was a level of control there that you were never, ever going to be one of the worst teams and ultimately the worst team in football because you were going to be just competitive enough. It's a problem for some people. Some people wanted a full-on rebuild. Some people didn't want to win 6 games that season, no matter how many moral victories might have been involved or sending Derrick Henry out of his Titans career with a win, right? So you come in and you're going to try and put this thing together, and then it all goes to hell because Will Levis cannot handle the situation. He simply cannot. He gets injured in week 4 in the first quarter in Miami. He misses 3 games as a result. He comes back. He tries to play through the sprained AC joint. He plays arguably his best football of the year. At that point, if you're Will Levis, are you shutting it down? If you feel like, all right, I got a handle on this thing. I've got maybe not the full extent of my abilities. I'm dealing with some discomfort. But it's professional football. It's football. I'm going to be hurt. I'm going to feel crappy some days. But am I going to just hang it up after this sprained AC joint while I am embattled already, while the season has not started the way that I needed this season to start, while I'm still very much in control of my situation? Of course you're not going to shut it down at the time. So Will Levis not getting the surgery initially makes a lot of sense. Everybody can agree on that, right? Then Will Levis goes into the offseason, knowing full well that they're going to, or almost knowing full well, and basically from February on, knowing full well that Cam Ward is going to be the guy who's coming in here to take his job. Will Levis no longer has the right to be the Titans' starting quarterback. But is Will Levis going to go quietly into that dark night? No, he's probably going to compete because people around him are saying, you may have an opportunity to compete here. You may have an opportunity to compete elsewhere. Your NFL career does not end. So Will Levis doesn't get the shoulder surgery then. Will Levis goes through the OTAs and he goes through the mandatory minicamp. And nobody, not the coach, not the player, nobody at the time is having any discussions about there being lingering issues, unless Will Levis is internalizing these things and talking to people privately about them. Nobody at the time is talking about Will Levis still dealing with issues from his sprained AC joint. In fact, he gives public comments to the opposite saying, I'm in a good spot right now. We're working through it. So he doesn't get the surgery then. He then explores his options throughout the course of the 6 weeks while they're off. And he gets enough medical opinions from enough different people where he explored multiple options and got some resounding feedback on the idea of you should probably shut it down. And also, the Titans are probably not interested in trading you. So do you want to ride it out with a year on the bench, playing through discomfort should you have to play through? Or does it make more sense for Will Levis as an individual to shut it down, get the surgery, and miss the 2025 season and hope to come back and compete again for a job again here or elsewhere, likely elsewhere? This is the thing that made the most sense, even if it feels like there are some more nefarious explanations to why he did what he did. But, I mean, Robert, if he gets the surgery right after they draft Cam Ward, what does that look like? Looks like he's running from the competition. No, I'm good. Shut it down. I'm not even interested in going through the motions. That's the worst look. If Will Levis gets it in the offseason, knowing that he's going to have to compete with the number 1 overall pick, or gets it during the offseason whilst competing, theoretically, even if it's not a real competition, but they're just trying to prop it up like it's a competition. This is the least nefarious way that Will Levis could handle his situation while still trying to protect himself. But again, how much the team agrees with the decision, the team is supporting the decision, but it's Will Levis's decision. And that's an important note here too. 615-737-1045 is how you jump in. We'll continue to take your reaction to Will Levis's season being over. We will talk about things that may be on the horizon or to keep an eye on as we get closer to report day tomorrow. 615-737-1045 is the number if you want to jump in. I'm Buck Rising. It's 1045 The Zone. Welcome back to the show. Fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken, the best hot chicken in the world. Robert is back from illness. Lucas will be back from Brazil. I mean, he's back from Brazil now. How pitiful was that text he tried to send us last night? Absolutely pitiful.
I mean, I get it. Sometimes you need a little rest from the relaxation.
He should have just taken the vacation day today. That instead of being like, oh, yes, I'll be only out until Friday, and then but I'll probably need a sick day.
I mean, he's feeling a little sick, feeling a little cruddy. You know, that's what we're here to do. We're here to lift each other up. We're a team.
Famously, this show.
It is not just training camp.
Uplifting.
Not just training camp for NFL teams. It is also training camp for us to bond, mold together, find cohesiveness, you know, just like when they talk about the offensive line. How are we gelling? Are we gelling together?
Well, based on the numbers, I don't know. We don't need to do anything. It sounds like we could fart into a microphone and be.
Sometimes we do that too.
It is crazy. Why you all are listening to this stuff as much as they're telling us that you are, or that the ratings would indicate that you are, is beyond me. But we're grateful and we appreciate you being here. And now there's football, so God knows what it's going to look like. 615-737-1045 is the number. If you would like to jump in at any point, we would be happy to have you. Oh, did I make you uncomfortable back there? Is ratings talk taboo? No, he's not paying attention to me. He's doing something else. No, it's okay. I don't need you anymore.
Okay, that's great. I'll take a nap right here.
Yeah, sounds about right. You might as well. You did it all last week. I didn't need you then either.
I slept like 48 hours in 2 days. It was incredible.
So, with Will Levis's injury situation, does it actually change anything? It's an interest. So I know that you guys are probably tired of hearing me use this phrase, and I know that Lucas likes to give me a hard time because I use it so often, but I do fundamentally think it is a great tool to use when talking about things. Are they important or are they interesting? And where is the gulf between those two things? That is a Ron Rivera line that Mike Vrabel used a couple of years ago in his Coach of the Year candidacy, talking about important versus interesting, and we have since applied the Ron Rivera-ism to just about everything that we talk about. I think it's an easy way to parse. Is the Will Levis story important or is it interesting? To me, it leans more interesting. Its actual importance has been negated by the fact that there's a number one overall pick on the roster. This was going to be Cam Ward's job. Now, they would have liked for him to earn it a little more. They gift-wrapped it to Will Levis in 2024 for all the good that it did him. And the idea that Will Levis is just not going to be standing in the way or providing any kind of semblance of competition, because Brandon Allen and Tim Boyle are not threatening Cam Ward's viability. Nobody believes that. And nobody believed that Will Levis was threatening Cam Ward's viability, which is why even at the time when they were saying, yeah, there's no ones, there's no twos right now, reps are pretty even in the OTAs, and said, well, we'll start giving Cam more once we got to mandatory minicamp, and they did that, and Cam Ward will probably be with the ones, even if Will Levis wasn't having the surgery prior to training camp, as opposed to there being at least a 60-40 or a 70-30 split in favor of Cam. It doesn't change anything for the Titans. The only thing that it changes is the construction of the backup quarterback room. And are you looking for something that's more viable? Or are you okay with, if he goes down, if Cam goes down, God forbid. But, are you really trying to win games in that spot? That's something we're going to flesh out a little later. Cam Ward is the first overall pick. It was, from everything that I understand, 2 or 3 reps for Cam for every one of Will's 1, right? Especially as we worked our way through the practices that were closed versus what was open. And Levis, while they felt comfortable with his progress in the spring, they were never going to view him as anything more than a backup that could rehabilitate his career here if he wanted to. There's the question of how much Will Levis wanted to, but the level of importance of Will Levis to this year's team is inconsequential. Was Will Levis going to do anything of consequence for the Titans as a backup quarterback if Cam Ward got hurt? Well, in that situation, you'd almost be rooting against Will Levis. You'd be rooting against the Titans' best interest, which is why we're going to go through this list of backup quarterbacks and ask you guys if you actually want a better one here in about 3 minutes.
It could be like a Drew Lock situation for the Giants last year, where if Drew Lock wouldn't have gone crazy in that game, Cam Ward wouldn't even be a Tennessee Titan.
Correct, which is something that we can talk about because the biggest reason that the Titans have the number 1 overall pick is, one, because they were the worst team, god-awful, in 2024, but also because some of the teams that could make the case for being as bad as the 2024 Titans were screwed up at the end and played themselves out of a better draft pick, which is not something that I think you want at this point in time. There's just not enough here to make it an actually important story. The only thing that's important is, when was the decision made? How was it made? And what impact does it have on the Titans' viability? I don't think the Titans were going to try that hard to trade Will Levis unless a better offer than they could have ever possibly hoped for became available. I think they were content to keep him on the roster. And I've had some people on both sides of the discussion, whether it be representation or team, tell me conflicting things, right? Certainly publicly, they have said that they have not actively tried to trade Will Levis. I don't have any reason to disbelieve them. Right now, there would be no reason to push hard to trade Will Levis before training camp even begins, because for what? You haven't even done joint work yet. Could the Bucs or the Falcons, I mean, the Falcons already have a convoluted quarterback situation, but could other teams who you will be in joint camp with, who you'll play preseason games against with, who will have access to preseason film, look around at Will Levis should he perform up to a level of expectation that surprises you and say, yeah, okay, well, we'll add that to our quarterback room. We could do worse. The Titans weren't necessarily interested in doing that much better, as evidenced by their free agency approach. Their approach was, we're going to build out the offensive line. We are drafting a quarterback, number 1 overall. Let's prioritize supporting him first and foremost, and then as things progress, then we can find more viable things behind him. The backup quarterback situation is going to be interesting because you could make an argument that they have no business walking into 2025 with the 2 backups that they currently have, and there will be better options out there. You could also argue that you don't want them to do anything of the sort, which is what we'll get into coming up next. You'll hear from Brian Callahan in the second hour. We'll also take a look around the NFL because training camps elsewhere in the league are open. Transaction news is available. We do expect some more Titans news throughout the course of the morning regarding guys dealing with injury situations. Physically unable to perform list is something that you should expect either today or at the start of tomorrow. Femi Oladejo's contract situation is, I wouldn't call it up in the air because I think a resolution is right around the corner. It's just a question of, does it happen today? Does it happen tomorrow? Does it happen right before they take the field for training camp for the first day of practice? I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone. Training camp hasn't even begun, and news has already started as we ramp back up for football season. That is what we are looking forward to for the rest of the week, but in the meantime, we got plenty of things to suss through. We'll do some league-wide NFL headlines, because there are many. With camps already open, more news in the NFL, NFLPA collusion allegations, people resigning out of shame, people expensing strip clubs, and things like that. Robert, you were late to the game. You could have been fired in disgrace for expensing strip club reports instead of the head of the NFLPA for a period of time.
I'm so tired of other people getting to live my dreams.
Mm-hmm.
God forbid a guy try to catch a vibe at work, though. Like, come on. It was for the team. Did y'all not read the article? It was for team building.
Yes.
Nothing makes you better friends or, in my opinion, better coworkers than throwing thousands of ones at a strip club. Doesn't that just sound like it? See, that from you was like Homer's donuts, except for his strippers.
No, I don't want that to be conveyed. Nothing about a strip club should be
It should be yes.
It should be,
right. Oh, come on. You've been to some bad ones.
Strip clubs make me sad, man.
They work it. They making more money than we are.
No, I know. Who are you talking to?
Making more money than me. I tried to apply.
I believe it. I tried to get the show sponsored by Deja Vu. And
the polls. Get the polls sponsored.
I did. Literally, Robert, I did this bit. It was before you joined the show. I still had Lucas sequestered back there in that tiny little smelly old studio that we were in for a period of time. Well, the old studio didn't smell. I assume all of the rooms that they keep the producers in smell bad.
Horribly.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Well, just based off who's back there. But I made a joke. We were doing the poll segment. The poll segment's been around basically the entire time the show's been around. By the way, news of the day, Will Levis out for the year. We'll get back to it in a second, because there is a list of backup quarterbacks that could be acquired here. But do you actually want them? And I'll expand on that here in just a second. 615-737-1045 is the number. F&M Bank Chat is where you can live stream the show. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. I made a joke while we were doing the polls. I said, wouldn't it be fun to have the poll segment sponsored by a strip club? Wouldn't it be fun to have Deja Vu sponsor the polls? Deja Vu, I'm telling you, within 5 minutes of me uttering that sentence into the microphone, called Lucas back in the studio, got the studio call-in number, said, I work for Deja Vu. Somebody called him on behalf of Deja Vu, said, I work for Deja Vu. We would like to do this. And at some point, it fell through didn't fall through the cracks of the corporate overlords. The corporate overlord said, you want to be sponsored by a strip club? Absolutely not. I said, I do pole dancing lessons, whatever you need from me. This is money. We're doing erectile dysfunction ads. What do you mean I can't be advertised by a strip club? But, now some things too shocking, I guess, for the audience that's hearing about how fat you are and how much you need to lose weight and how much you need to quit smoking cigarettes and how your pieces and parts don't work anymore. So take this pill for this.
We can't have an endorsement, but we could do a live show there, Have us out there, see what the day brunch is like.
See, this is why you can't be involved in these things.
Yeah. Why do you think that?
I have.
You just hear my wheeze laugh now.
Well, you already sound like somebody who should be at a strip club. Now you just sound even more like somebody who's been chain smoking at a strip club all
I'll
day.
let you in on a little secret. When I was in college, I was a weekday strip club DJ, and I would work I never put it on my resumes. I never tell anyone this because they're always going to be like, you worked at a strip club. You're a weirdo. But I was a weirdo. I liked making money. So I did that from like 11 p.m. to 4 a.m.
Was a weirdo.
It was a lot of fun. DJ Rob on the Cobb.
Who's on the Cobb?
Rob.
Okay.
Rob is on the Cobb.
Just making sure somebody else not on the Cobb. Anyway. Will Levis is out for the season. It's his choice. He is electing to have shoulder surgery right now to deal with the sprained AC joint that he injured back in October. The Miami game is when that injury happened. The first quarter of that Dolphins game on the road, the Monday Night Football game. This is the statement from the team. After consulting with doctors and his representatives, Will Levis has decided to undergo shoulder surgery that will sideline him for the entire 2025 season. We support this decision to focus on his long-term health. He approached the offseason with professionalism and showed clear growth as a leader. We remain confident in his full recovery. And goes on to give some details about Will Levis and how he got here and all these different things.
I actually have the Callahan audio from post-game after he got hurt, if you think that would be valuable.
I was at that press conference, but I'm happy to hear it again.
Will hurt his shoulder on that scramble on third down. Tried to come back. It was bothering him. ended up doing what he had to do to try to get back in the game. And ultimately, I knew what kind of game it was going to be with the bye week next week. Didn't want to expose him to any further risk. He tried everything he could to go, but it was bothering him pretty significantly on his shoulder. So made a decision to hold him out. Same thing with Jeff. Jeff's elbow was bothering him with the bye week backed up. It made the most sense to rest him for the week.
And yada, yada, yada. We don't care about Jeff.
So obviously the Jeff Simmons injury only cost him that game. Will Levis would then miss 3 more games after the fact. And when he came back, it was arguably as good a stretch of football as he had played that season. They didn't win because they were still a bad football team. But he looked like, all right, there may be some progress here. Maybe it was okay to sit him down for a little while for him to get right. And then the wheels fell off. He got benched in the Bengals game for performance and was really never going to be back in the mix for that job. As I said, the timeline makes sense if you look at it from Will Levis's perspective. You, as a Titans fan, probably don't care about Will Levis's perspective. The team is making it clear that this was Will Levis's decision first and foremost. Again, based on their commentary through the offseason program, there was no indication that Will Levis's shoulder was something they considered to be an overwhelming issue. He was a full participant in the OTAs. He was a full participant at mandatory minicamp. He was there was praise heaped upon him from the head coach, from Nick Holtz. He felt like he was physically able to do all of these things and manage the situation as a result. But after taking these 6 weeks off, seeking multiple different medical evaluations, and understanding that the Titans were not overwhelmingly interested in trading him, which does play a factor here, he and his representation, as the statement says, made a decision. We're going to get the shoulder surgery. We're going to shut it down. We're going to try and get as right as humanly possible and come back to try and compete as well as humanly possible, because this is not going to be the best version. And if he ends up being the backup quarterback, and if he's playing on a bum shoulder or a bad shoulder coming in behind Cam Ward, is he going to put himself in the best possible position to succeed? He is prioritizing himself here, and there's nothing wrong with that from my perspective. If you are a team-first person, if you are the organization, you may have different thoughts on that matter, but from Will Levis's standpoint, this is the decision that makes the most sense. Now, do you want a better backup quarterback? Do you actually want a better backup quarterback? Because if Cam Ward goes down, I don't care if they win games. I would rather see them get the best possible draft pick in that situation. Obviously, if Cam Ward was to miss an extended amount of time, if Cam Ward was to miss 5 games in his rookie season, 4 games, you, depending on where you are in the standings, you could probably dig yourself out of a bad month or a 2-2 split if you have a backup in Brandon Allen. God knows it's not Tim Boyle, respectfully, that would be able to split that situation. But Brandon Allen is as backup-y a backup quarterback as one could find in the NFL. Will Levis had the highest ceiling of any of them. Maybe he couldn't be trusted to be a backup quarterback because of the trust that you need to have in that position to be able to manage the situation. But if I tell you that Cam Ward is going to miss 4 or more games in 2025 due to something, hypothetically, do you actually want this football team to win games? If I was a fan of the Titans, I would probably advocate against a better backup quarterback situation. I want as many good or the best possible supporting cast around Cam Ward for the long term. I want the best possible backup quarterback situation for Cam Ward when this is a team capable of competing for a playoff spot, a wild card spot, pushing, capable of making a run in the postseason. Should something, again, God forbid, happen to Cam Ward down the line, I want the Nick Foles scenario to happen when they can actually make a run at this thing. If you're a Titans fan, you probably don't care which quarterback wins the Super Bowl for you as long as you have a plan in place to make sure that the team could get the job done at the end of the day. Coming into Cam Ward's rookie season with a roster that's suspect at best, doesn't make sense to go out of your way to get a backup quarterback who would win you, who could win you, who would be more capable of winning you games at this point. I would argue against. Now, Nick Suss went out there and put together a list of a couple of different players that could be available in this situation. Should the Titans go shopping for a practice squad quarterback, at Nick Suss is where you can find this list, but I'll give you the list as it were. Here's every rostered quarterback, he writes, under 25 in the NFL who isn't a starter or competing for a starting job and is on a team carrying 4+ quarterbacks into training camp, essentially up-and-coming cut candidates. Atlanta, Emory Jones. Carolina has Jack Plummer and Ethan Garbers. Have you heard of any of these players?
Jack Plummer is Jake Plummer's son?
Oh, really?
I believe. I need to double-check on that.
God, that would make me feel old.
Who was the other cat you said?
Ethan Garbers.
No, never heard of him.
Chicago, Austin Reed, Tyson Bagent, rather, people have heard of because he played a little bit of football in the middle of that. Cincinnati, Peyton Thorne, Dylan Gabriel, and Shedeur Sanders.
Austin Reed, I believe, is a Western Kentucky grad, but I would have to check on that.
Taylor Algersma, I'm unfamiliar. Keaton Slovis, Grant Mertz, Jason Bean, Riley Leonard, Seth Hennigan, DJ Uyunglele, Quinn Ewers, Brett Gabbert, don't call him Blaine Gabbert, Max Brosmer, Brady Cook, Adrian Martinez, Hunter Deckers, Will Howard, Tanner McKee, Kyle McCord, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, Michael Pratt, Connor Bazelak, and Sam Hartman are all players under 25, not starting or competing for a starting job and on a roster that would likely see them get cut.
Who was the Bean fella?
Oh, I closed the list. Hang on.
Oh, dadgummit.
The Bean fella?
Yes, I would like that because of your earlier reference about freebasing, all of this training camp news.
I don't have a Bean here.
Oh, I thought you said Bean. I was hoping you could sign him and then your backup could be off a Bean, off your freebasing joke. Yeah, that's where I was going.
I hope the audience heard how quickly you lost confidence in the middle of trying to explain that away and then slunk away from the microphone. That's the first time you've gone to the shadows without me sending you.
Yeah, there's a break here.
615-737-1045 is the number. Do you want a better backup quarterback situation for the Titans? Right now, the room is Cam Ward, Brandon Allen, and Tim Boyle. Nothing about that should inspire you other than the hope of the number 1 overall pick being the guy undisputably, and we have yet to figure that out either. But assuming that is more likely than not to happen, do you want him supported better this year with a better player behind him? Or are you okay with the idea of, if he goes down this year, this is not a team that needs to prioritize winning quite that way? 615-737-1045 is how you jump in. We'll get back to your comments and your phone calls a little later on. We also have NFL headlines. Will Levis is a big one in the middle of all of this, but there are training camps opening around the league. Titans report tomorrow, so we will get through some NFL headlines as well as continue to cover this Levis story and any other Titans news that may come out while we are on the air, because we are expecting some today, if not before 1 o'clock. I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone. Lake lovers, listen up. Tennessee National Lakefront Resort, Golf, and Marina Community is releasing a brand new phase of lake lots, one day only, Saturday, July 26th. You can get a cottage package with a boat slip from $359,900, a 1.5-acre lake lot with a covered boat slip from just $99,900. Move-in ready homes with a free upgraded outdoor kitchen are $30,000 off. private golf cart access to a new marina and resort, 10 miles of walking trails, 3.5 miles of shoreline, a brand new 26,000 square foot clubhouse, waterfront concerts, pickleball, pools, on-site coffee shop, and much more. Play on the lake or simply relax at the waterfront restaurant just over 20 minutes from Knoxville, Tennessee. Financing is available, so celebrate the lake life and make memories. This limited property release, Saturday, July 26th. Visit TennesseeNational.com or call 865-408-9992 to secure your private tour. Memories begin here at Tennessee National. Welcome back to the show. Fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken. We'll get to the headlines here in just a second. The news of the day locally. Will Levis done for the year. I don't expect a transaction necessarily today. Well, that transaction necessarily for today. But there could be some transactions. There are likely transactions coming down before the team officially reports for training camp tomorrow. There will be opening press conferences. We will drag Lucas kicking and screaming back into this studio from his vacation in Brazil. He is out sick today, recovering. Robert is back. He is still disgustingly sick and yet wheezing into the microphone for reasons that are beyond me. I didn't need you here today.
Oh. Is that the case? Is that why I got a text that said, "Hold on," you
want to read text today?
You want to bring up mothers?
You want to play that game?
What have I said that's incriminating?
Yeah, plenty.
What have I said that you could ever throw back?
What a ridiculous thing for you to utter into a microphone blindly. Why don't you scroll for whatever text you think are incriminating of me, and I'll take some phone calls.
Okay, I'll do that.
615-737-1045 is the number. Will Levis electing to have shoulder surgery. Not the team's decision, but the player's decision. The team has put out a statement supporting the decision, but making it clear that it is the player's decision. Why he is doing this now, I've explained. If you have questions about that, we can work our way through it. Let's start with Brian up first. Hey, Brian.
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking the call. I guess really the only take I have on the backup QB situation is, obviously as a fan, we would love to see if the worst happens and Cam Ward goes down for even a few games or something. We'd love to see us, get a higher draft pick later on in the year, give him more supporting cast. But I just feel like there's too many, extraneous details, things that happen after that we're, people, I guess, just don't really think about. I think if that happens and we tank, do we keep Callahan? Does Cam Ward now have to learn a new offense and go under a brand new head coach in his second year? Are we going to keep guys that are not going to want to stay in a perpetually losing team? So I'd rather see continuity. I'd rather see Cam Ward stick with the same head coach, stick with the same program for a few years, get his feet under him, even if he gets hurt for a few games. I'd rather see a capable backup quarterback come in. Even if we still are a 6 or 7 win team next year, it's still an improvement, and we can keep the coaching staff in continuity. So I just want to get y'all's take on that.
Thanks for the call. All right, so I have said, all right, after the season ended, I said everybody should be fired. I said nobody deserves to stay employed by this team after last year. And, Brian Callahan, Rand Carthon, and I've talked to everybody about this, everybody associated with last year's product doesn't really have a leg to stand on. And they fired plenty of people, but not the majority of people that were responsible for last year's mess. They fired Rand Carthon. They fired a bunch of other people in the administrative roles and things like that. They're trying to be the new Titans. They're trying to open a new stadium in 2027. They're trying to have a new quarterback situation. And I genuinely believe that after all the crap that they fed people last year, and there was a bunch of crap being shoveled, that they have prioritized the most important thing. I know that there is an edict from on down high that winning is the most important thing. And there was some reason to believe that was not the case here in the last couple of years. That being said, when you retain Callahan and you draft Cam Ward, my position then, Callahan should get 2 years to see this thing through this year and another year to give Cam Ward the best chance to succeed. That's not even about Brian Callahan deserves another opportunity. 3-14, you can find anybody to do that, respectfully. And I've talked to Brian. I'm sure I've talked about that on air before. I've talked to Brian about that. In a couple of different instances, we have a mutual understanding why I feel the way that I do. I understand where he's coming from. Both of those things can be so, but it's not about Brian. None of this is about anybody. I don't care about players on the roster that aren't named Cam Ward. I don't care about people on the coaching staff because they're not Cam Ward. Like, in the sense of, obviously I care about the people, but if I'm a fan looking at the football team and saying, well, what about this or what about that or what are the unintended consequences of this, that, and the other, I don't care as long as Cam Ward is not impacted. So the best thing in my mind, based on my, very rudimentary understanding of how things should work for a quarterback and a coach in this particular situation and the nature of churn and burn at that position in the league, then Cam Ward, when you draft him, Brian Callahan should be given the rookie season and the following season to figure things out. And if it can't get done, then you find somebody else that can. And that's the nature of the business, and everybody understands that. The backup quarterback situation, and it's a good question posed by the caller, because if Cam Ward goes down, and if they decide winning not the most important thing at that point in time, which would be completely understandable, what does that mean for somebody like Callahan? Would that put him in danger? That's a question that only Amy Adams Strunk could answer, and if we were capable of reading her mind in that situation beyond what she puts in these statements that are very, looked over and vetted and not in a situation where she would have to answer questions on the back end about the statements that she's made because she's not at a podium delivering said statements, as is her right. That's how she wants to operate. We can bitch about it. Fans can bitch about it. Fans can care about it. They don't have to care about it. Whatever you feel about it, that's her decision to make. And so come what may. It does open the possibility up to that, and that would put Cam Ward in jeopardy. So my position, to the caller's point, is anything that would put Cam Ward in jeopardy, don't do. Simple as that. Anything that supports that player, do it. Do it to the best extent of your abilities, from the dietary staff to the strength and conditioning to the support system around him to the way you draft to how ownership conducts her business and everything else in between. Everything. Cam Ward does not own the franchise, but he's the most important part of the franchise. He is capable of being the franchise if you properly support him. So whatever you got to do to get to that point, do it. And anything that would put him in jeopardy of anything else, I mean, you could be like every other organization in the NFL and make bad decisions, or other organizations in the NFL. Bad teams stay bad for a reason because people running them make bad choices that impact the players more than anything else. And that is the thing that you would hate to see happen to a promising young player who just got here at the most important position. Ed in New Jersey is next. Hey, Ed.
Hey, Buck. So I don't know if I'm in a minority on this one, but I find it a little disingenuous. A lot of people wanted to trade Levis, including some media, thinking it was best for the team.
Mm-hmm.
And now those same people are saying, hey, we got to go out and get a backup quarterback. Let's see who's out there. I find that a bit disingenuous because, to me, if you were on the let's trade Levis bandwagon, then you're essentially saying you're okay with Tim Boyle and Brandon Allen being your backups because look at the list that's out there.
Yeah.
So keep me honest. Do you think that's a little disingenuous or no?
Oh, I think that's fair criticism. I mean, you can't just turn or change your opinion. You are welcome to change your opinion based on new information, Ed. But, you have to be cognizant of what you've said previously. And, the radio show, fortunately, I've got enough people around here to keep me accountable for what I say, because, frankly, sometimes I forget. Sometimes I forget some of the opinions that I have or how strident I was on a certain thing and then, don't take it as seriously a week or two later or something like that. I don't know if you're referencing me specifically. The backup quarterback situation, I think I don't know that I've had any profound statements as to how they should handle the backup quarterback situation, other than Levis, once you pull him, probably should be done here. That's about as strident as I've been on anything. And they expressed a lack of interest in trading him. And so that's their decision to make. That's their right. And as a result, if you want to trust Will Levis to be your backup quarterback, that's fine. I wouldn't. They at least seem to have some level of belief that they could, or at least rehab him enough to get him somewhere else. And that would have been fine with me too. I have no issue with Brandon Allen or Tim Boyle as the backup quarterback because I don't care who the backup quarterback is on a bad football team. Even though,
Oh, sorry. I thought you were done. No. You finish your thought.
No, I had nothing.
We're a professional. Are you sure?
Are we?
You're done?
Go.
Yes. Yes. Oh, it's time. It's finally time.
You please put your erection away.
Hold on. Okay. It's finally time for NFL headlines that mean something. It's so beautiful.
It's a weird state because not only does he have an erection, but he's sobbing through it.
Oh, it's so nice.
Yeah. I can't imagine that's the first time that's happened to you in your life.
And it won't be the last. The Chiefs and standout defensive end George Karlaftis finalized a 4-year contract extension, $93 million, $62 million guaranteed. Also securing an extension for Trey Smith, but that's neither here nor there. George Karlaftis, over 24 and a half sacks in the last 3 seasons. How do you feel about him getting a little payday there?
Well, I hate him because he went to Purdue. But no.
Boiler down.
Yeah, boiler down. We don't like that, except boiler up as far as his bank account goes. He's a very productive player. He's a good fit for Steve Spagnuolo's defense. KC's best bet at continuing to stay in the mix is not just Patrick Mahomes, but also fielding a defense that is suffocating. He's been a big part of that as they continue to try and bolster things on the front end. Their weakness really right now is in the offensive trenches. They don't have players to pay there. They're banking a lot on the draft pick that they're bringing in there to play left tackle, which is kind of crazy given that they gave out the second biggest left tackle contract after the Titans and Dan Moore this year in free agency, and that player may not even win the job. His name is escaping me off the top of my head right now, but still. George Karlaftis, they exercised his 5th-year option back in April. This is the thing that made the most sense. I got no issue with the contract. He's a quality player. You can't have enough pass rushers.
It also seems like they are trying to kind of reinvest back into the roster after having a little, like, figuring out Tyreek Hill leaving, figuring out Travis Kelce aging, figuring out, like, over the years, they have had to re-supplement this roster with top-tier players and being able to draft, develop them, like Nick Bolton this offseason, the linebacker, getting a big contract with them. Now George Karlaftis. It seems like their draft and develop strategy has paid off because now they have the split in the road. It's like, do we pay these guys or do we get comp picks and continue to roll the dice on can we continue to do this?
I'm laughing so hard at the one guy in the comment section that says, who cares about this? We aren't the Chiefs. Like the rest of the NFL doesn't impact the things that are going on with you. And that's the one guy that didn't that person earlier say that Levis would outlast Callahan, which is hilarious.
Yes, he is here just to complain. So that's fine with me. Next in the headlines, Noah Fant, and I can make this about the Titans so people won't complain about it in the chat.
No, I don't care about that.
Noah Fant released.
Now I just want to bother people.
Yeah, you don't want to.
Now I just want to act. It's really to the detriment of the rest of the audience. Now I just want to annoy that one person who came in here and bitched like an idiot.
It's okay. Just forget about him. Pretend he's not there. Pretend he's a girlfriend, and you'll just forget about her by Christmas.
Whoa!
Oh, hey! We were having a great time.
What the hell was that?
I'm sorry. I'm just in a big drive-by today. Come on. Pretend JR's in love with you.
What did I do to you?
I didn't do anything. Noah Fant, much like has been released from the Seahawks. A cost-cutting move. They've also invested heavily in the position, drafting Elijah Arroyo in the 2nd round. You got to quit making that face. Noah Fant, should the Titans be interested?
I got to quit making that face after what you just did to me there?
Should the Titans be interested in adding Noah Fant to this tight end room?
No. Next.
Oh, that's it. So quickly.
To this tight end room for what?
I think it is funny that the Dolphins just ran out there and were like, okay, we're going to trade for retired Darren Waller. If they would have just waited like 8 days, they could have signed Noah Fant, which they probably still need to. One of the worst-looking tight end rooms in the league.
Jesus Christ.
Was that what did I unseat you?
I can't wait to get texts about that later.
No.
Can't wait. What do you mean no?
No.
You don't think that every time you bring up those kind of situations for me that I don't get feedback?
I'm not talking about any specific situation. I'm talking about.
Weren't you though?
No, I'm talking.
You're just talking generally.
Yes, generally. Yes, that you lose interest in things very quickly. I'm waiting for it to happen to me, to where it's like, oh yes, I was a fun little toy that Buck liked to play with, and then something new came along.
Stop it.
Eventually, Ross will come along, and then you'll want Ross to take over as your producer.
I feel like they don't end badly. I feel like these just
very amicable.
These things.
We're
not talking about this anymore. Keep moving. Keep moving.
Titans news we're expecting today. We hinted a little bit on it.
God.
The second round cluster has begun to break up. As you saw, Tyler Shuck, fully guaranteed deal. Nothing can go wrong from the glass-jawed quarterback, right? getting a fully guaranteed
the
deal.
quarterback who spent his entire collegiate career, isn't he like 27 years old?
I think he's like 92. Yes.
No, he's I don't think he's quite 27, but he is older, obviously, because he spent so much time injured in college, and a fully guaranteed deal to a player like that is crazy. This is another example of the Browns and the Texans being negligent in the way that they do their business, because the Texans started this with these never have you seen second round pick signings covered this way, because most teams are reasonable about this and understand that a fully guaranteed contract is not something that you should be handing out in any situation in the NFL where there is a 100% rate of injury. So instead of just handing out, whatever Deshaun's deal was, the $265 or however $250 million fully guaranteed deal that the Browns just banged the entire league with and now have everybody in a collusion case over because Roger Goodell came into a room and said, hey, dopes, let's not do that again. You're going to make everybody's life's miserable. See, Jimmy Haslam, don't be like that guy. So the Texans do this, then the Browns do this, and it starts this whole unnecessary saga of second-round pick contracts being covered. I don't think Shuck's fully guaranteed deal has unintended consequences for somebody like Femi Oladejo, who still, as of today, are not or is not signed. But I don't expect him to miss a practice. If he misses a practice, something will have happened, and they will be upset about it, and he will be upset about it, and that will be something that we can cross that bridge should it get there. But I have no understanding or no indication right now that Femi Oladejo would miss time. He is going to be signed, I think, at least day of first practice, if not by tomorrow when Mike Borgonzi and Chad Brinker have to get up there in front of people and answer questions about this.
So if there was a roadblock in the way of Femi signing his contract, it would be that the 51st overall pick, the one pick in front of him, linebacker Nick Scourton to the Panthers, has also not yet signed his deal. So if Nick is also negotiating, like, I would like a 6/10 fully guaranteed deal, which I guess if you simplified it would be a 3/5. Either way, 3/5 fully guaranteed deal. Then that's what they're arguing over. That's what they're waiting on. But it shouldn't be a huge wait because a lot of the second round picks have been signed.
You better hope this segment never ends because I'm going to come back there and choke you out.
Speaking of the guys who have not signed yet, in the first round, we got an update from Bengals executive Duke Tobin on Shamar Stewart saying, quote, he needs to be here. I would encourage him to be here. He's listening to the advice he's paying for, in parentheses, from his agents. I don't understand the advice. We're treating him fairly. End quote.
Yeah, lie.
Yeah, like continue to lie.
That's a lie. You're going to criticize him for taking the advice he's paying for when you're not paying him? You're the holdup between what he's actually supposed to be paid? Right? The Bengals' lack of self-awareness and all this, and I know Mike Brown is also giving commentary this morning about, Duke Tobin is expecting Trey Hendrickson to be in camp, and Mike Brown, the owner, is saying that they expect the deal to get done. The Bengals, again, bad teams stay bad. And I know the Bengals have Joe Burrow, so they don't have to be the worst in the NFL. But the decision-making behind some of these useless organizations that get to exist and print money hand over fist just by fielding a professional, quote-unquote, professional football product without actually having to do the legwork to make sure that these things are good, that sucks. That sucks if you're a fan. It sucks if you're somebody who cares about the state of football. It certainly sucks if you're a player for that organization. Who wants to play for the Bengals other than Joe Burrow gives you a chance? I cannot understand, wrap my head around the idea of how you could make your place with one of these quarterbacks, the thing that is the most difficult to find, so unenticing because you suck at doing business. Because you do business in bad faith. That is the worst. Those are the headlines?
Those are the headlines.
All right. I'm going to kill Robert during the commercial break. When we come back, he may or may not still be with us. I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone. Welcome back to the show. Fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken. Best hot chicken in the world. 615-737-1045 is the number. I may order some Hattie B's to the studio to soothe myself after the assault that was perpetrated against me in the last segment. We are going to get into the news of the day, which is that Will Levis is going to miss the entire season with a shoulder surgery that he elected to have. It is not something that the team advised him to get. The team is supporting him. They put out a statement. We've read the statement. It is available on their social media channels if you would like to go read that statement for yourself. I have given you some more information on his logic. I've also given you some more information on why it makes sense right now for him and maybe not make sense for the team. But if you're Will Levis, do you give a single solitary damn about what is in the best interest of the Tennessee Titans right now? He's not a bad person. He's not a bad guy. I don't think, I don't think that there's, in fact, I find him to be quite the opposite. I think he's a hard worker. I think he busts his ass. I think a lot of the stuff that's happened to him is unfortunate. Some of it is earned. But, his decision-making on the field does not make him a bad teammate or a bad locker room presence or any of that. In fact, I think he's handled the situation about as well as somebody could, given that he is largely the source of these ills. But there also has to be some level of self-preservation in it if you are an NFL football player, no matter what position you play, and that is what this indicates to me. Self-preservation above anything else that might be recommended or suggested by the team. His representation is giving him advice. He is also getting medical advice, and ultimately it is his decision to do with his body as he will. And he's going to have the shoulder surgery and miss the season. So we talked about the backup quarterback situation. There is also some other stuff to consider here, because that doesn't necessarily, as we talked about earlier in the show, that impacts the Tennessee Titans season. Really not. I mean, maybe if Cam Ward was to get hurt and Will Levis was the backup and Will Levis would play, then it would be of consequence. But I just don't really think it would even still be that important. There's two things here. One, and it's nothing against Will, even though some of you probably would hold it against Will. I'm happy that we don't have to talk about Will Levis anymore after today. Right? We really don't have to talk about Will Levis anymore after today. Because if they release him after all this is over, it's a non-issue. That is, for him, he gets an accrued season out of it. If he hits his NFL pension moving forward, that's a huge victory for him and his longevity or his potential earning power beyond whatever football can provide to him or whatever he can provide to himself through football. That's great. But Will Levis not having to be a story anymore is good for him. It's good for us. It's good for you. So I love the idea of, I don't love, him having to deal with injury, because you don't wish for that to happen to anybody. And you don't wish for as public an embarrassment as Will Levis has had to experience. But I am happy for his sake that he can just get out of the spotlight for a while. He didn't have to take questions anymore. He didn't have to do press conferences anymore. They don't have to answer questions about him anymore, other than probably Mike Borgonzi and Chad Brinker are going to be asked initially about it, and we'll move on from there, and that'll be fine. What is important to the 2025 Titan season is other injuries that can impact them. Lloyd Cushenberry and Legarius Sneed. Jimmy Wyatt was on the morning show, right? And Jimmy Wyatt hinted at something that I think most of us could reasonably expect, but may not have had at the forefront of our minds, given the biggest news of the day, or the most public news of the day, which is Will Levis's shoulder situation and lack of presence in the 2025 season. Let me hear from Jim Wyatt on Ramon and Will.
Who does end up on PUP? And I think you mentioned, certainly Cushenberry is one to watch for. I think Legarius Sneed is another guy. A couple others that I think are pup potential. And then if they start off on PUP, I think it's a matter of them just continue to do the rehab, and once they, trainers and coaches feel like they're ready to go, they can call those guys up and they'll be back in practicing. But curious to see maybe how they treat a couple of guys and how patient they are with them, right at the start. I think Mullings came back at the very end of the off season. Kevin Winston's another guy. I think those are the four: Mullings, Winston, Sneed, and Cushionberry are the ones I think they've got pup question marks around them. And so the question is whether they're a go from the start or whether they ease in a couple of days or a couple of weeks into camp.
Sneed, Cushionberry, and then the two rookies, Kevin Winston Jr., the third-round pick, and Kalel Mullings, the running back out of Michigan, who they got on day 3.
And so if you're not familiar with PUP, just a rehash for anybody. We're getting back into it. In the NFL, physically unable to perform. That list allows teams to manage players with football-related injuries who are not yet ready to practice. Players on the PUP list can participate in team meetings and use team facilities but cannot practice. There are 2 types of PUP lists, active PUP and reserve PUP. Players on the active PUP list count against the 90-man roster during training camp, but can be activated at any point if they are medically cleared. Players on the reserve PUP list must sit out at least 4 games of the NFL season. They do not have to do that yet. They would have to do that closer to the roster cutdown time if they were going to add someone to the PUP reserve list. So this is the PUP active. So Legarius Sneed or Cushionberry could both be added to the roster, but they do count against the 90-man.
So when the news comes out, because there will be news on all 4 of those players, either to the affirmative or to the negative, as to what their status will be at the start of training camp, those are 2 important things to keep in mind. That is the most important thing to keep in mind. What PUP list designation are they giving them? Because that will impact how soon you could potentially have those players available, what the implication of their 90-man roster spot would be. If Sneed starts on PUP either way, that would be the thing that would cause the most rancor, right? That would be the thing that would set, because Kalel Mullings, I don't think people are really thinking about. Kevin Winston Jr., I expect to be a plus whenever he's available, but he's not a real thing to them yet, right? Titans fans haven't really seen him. You haven't even seen, you've seen press conference clips that we've posted. You've probably, if you're a college football fan, maybe you watched him at Penn State in 2023. And at the start of 2024 prior to the ACL injury. But those 2 players aren't really real to them yet. Cushionberry and Legarius Sneed are 2 real things that they were very much banking on being foundational pieces as they try to get this thing to stop sucking as badly as it sucked. At 2 really important positions, center and outside corner. And not only outside corner, but trading for, and then paying for a corner that at one point could make the case that he was the best corner in the league. He is obviously not anymore. The question of whether he will ever be able to get back into even that conversation is very much open. But that's Jimmy Wyatt hinting at stuff that you can expect. There's going to be conversations around all 4 of those players. They have told us really from the jump that Winston Jr. is not somebody that they think should take a lot of time to ramp up. Training camp has been the target date for him the entire time. If he misses time, I think that would be a bit of a surprise, but only because they've been so loud in the messaging around training camp, he should be okay. Mullings had an abdominal injury. I don't know what the extent of that is. They've just slow played it with him, and there's no great need to rush him back. So if that's something that they have to do with him, okay, so be it. They've got running back depth. They added another running back last week, Jordan Mims, I believe, the former UDFA out of New Orleans. Cushionberry and Sneed are going to be the 2 things that matter the most here. An Achilles tear for a 320-plus pound center, red flag. A quad injury that required surgery, bone marrow transfusions for a corner who is not old, but has a degenerative condition coming in with that's not even the real issue keeping him from the practice field. Now, if Legarius Sneed wasn't practicing as a part of his maintenance plan as opposed to being on PUP, that would be okay. If Legarius Sneed is on PUP because he's still dealing with injury, they can't fire Rand Carthon again for doing that deal. But the GM who did that deal, or the assistant general manager who did that deal, is now your GM and dealing with the consequences of shipping Legarius Sneed off for good parts in Kansas City. Who do Titans fans hold to account if Legarius Sneed goes wrong? Chad Brinker, who was most responsible for negotiating that deal? I mean, what's going to happen there? The person that's running the entire football operation, who technically has roster say, even though they're talking about it's a collaborative effort and all these different buzzwords that you get sick of hearing when they don't work. I mean, people are going to lose their mind no matter what designation. If it's a PUP designation, and honestly, I'd expect it to be, but if it's a PUP designation for Legarius Sneed, Titans fans are going to, the conversation is going to quickly turn from, oh, good riddance, Will Levis, to what the hell are we actually doing here? 615-737-1045 is how you jump in. We will get back to the news of the day. We will also dive into more detail on Legarius Sneed and Lloyd Cushenberry as details become available. Final hour. I'm Buck Rising. It's 1045 The Zone. Ensure your retirement is the ultimate summer vacation. Call Trajan Wealth today to make sure that you have that planning in place. We're wrapping up the month of July, but obviously Independence Day was earlier a couple of weeks ago, and it gives you the opportunity to reflect on the importance of independence, specifically financial independence and the role that plays in all of our lives. That's something that Jeff Jr., Trajan Wealth CEO, fully appreciates as a veteran himself, the importance of that true independence. He founded Trajan Wealth as an independent firm, allowing fiduciary advisors the ability to customize a portfolio to meet your unique goals and needs. Call Trajan Wealth today to discuss options for achieving that financial independence. 615-270-5000. That's 615-270-5000. Or visit them online at TrajanWealth.com. Advisory services offered through Trajan Wealth, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. This is a paid advertisement.
What's going on, you bunch of hooligans? 12 o'clock, good afternoon, live from the 104.5 The Zone studios. I am Robert Walsh. Football continuing to inch closer, and it's starting to feel real because we have Titans training camp this week. Ramon and Will, as well as the Buck Rising Show, will be live from Titans training camp at Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park on Wednesday and Thursday this week. Looking forward to that. We had a little bit of breaking Titans news this morning as Will Levis is out for the year, having season-ending shoulder surgery. Levis released a statement saying after consulting with the doctors and his representatives, Levis has decided to undergo shoulder surgery that will sideline him for the entire 2025 season. We support his decision to focus on long-term health. He approached this offseason with professionalism and showed. How many times have you messed up? I never do it when you mess up. You did today reading the liner. Easy for me to say. You really want to fight during a sports update? We're supposed to be a professional show.
A what?
We remain confident in his full recovery. It was announced the Chiefs and standout defensive end George Karlaftis finalizing a 4-year extension, $93 million, $62 guaranteed. After securing Pro Bowl guard Trey Smith to a 4-year extension, the Chiefs do the same with Karlaftis, who recorded 24.5 sacks during his first 3 NFL seasons. For all your foundation repair and your waterproofing needs, you got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once for your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5. Yeah, I'm going to make you wait now because you did that.
The Zone! Mercifully, this show is almost over today. Football season's back. We're excited about it. You'd think we'd be prepared because we spent all summer bitching and moaning about the fact that there's no football. First day of football, the Titans report doesn't work. Robert can't read an update. Will Levis is having shoulder surgery to end his season before the season even begins. It's all a mess. It's all a mess, but that's all right. We're here to shoulder?
God forbid somebody mess up a word.
Shoulder the burden.
Somebody, you better shoulder this burden if you keep this up, dude.
I already do.
I'm going to let you know. The real reason to make you feel bad about me getting through that update, I needed to breathe. I needed a breather, dude. I got to hit my little inhale. Do your little cry noise. Needed to hit a little, this is my new cigarette, dude.
I think you're just doing drugs.
This albuterol sulfate HFA inhalation aerosol. This is my new cigarette. I have 127 hits of this thing. Well, 126. Oh, that's the good stuff.
It sounds like before a Lil Wayne song is what you just did there. Nobody knows that was an inhaler. You gonna flick a lighter?
Ooh, can you hear it?
Yeah.
Oh, I just wasted 2 hits on the mic. Give me that back.
So, the news of the day is that Will Levis is having season-ending shoulder surgery. Dixie on YouTube, which is a question that we've answered all day, but we're happy to do it again. And listen, you don't have to accept the explanation. It doesn't have to be something that vibes with you or that you think is good or a reasonable enough explanation. It doesn't matter what the explanation is. You're entitled to your opinion about it. I'm just here to try and provide you as much context as humanly possible. Is it an excuse? Is it an explanation? I'll leave that up to you. Because Dixie on YouTube, where you can live stream the show, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch, you can also call us, 615-737-1045, wants to know why Will Levis did not have the surgery in February when, their season was over in January. So theoretically, I guess he doesn't have to go right from the playing surface to the cutting board in that situation. So could he give himself a couple of weeks after locker room cleanout day, go on vacation, come back, get the surgery, rehab? Sure. But if he gets the surgery and it knocks him out for what is going to be a considerable amount of time, what does that prevent him from doing? Can anybody in the class tell me?
Oh, me.
Couldn't even say me right.
Play football.
Correct. Will Levis, if he has that surgery ahead of the offseason program, when he is not going to win a starting quarterback job in Tennessee, but still has the opportunity to prolong his NFL career, that would prevent him from being viable as a trade option, which was his preferred situation. Or at least not Maybe not his preferred situation. I think Will Levis likes Nashville, even though Nashville seems to hate him. And he's not had a fun experience here. But it's a city that a lot of people would like to live in and, make money in if they can help it. And Will Levis, I don't think, is any stranger to that. But Will Levis's representation want him to be able to be a viable career earner elsewhere. Will Levis's representation were seeking trade options. The Titans, when they actively expressed a lack of interest in trading him, which may confuse you, but again, their decision to make. What their explanation for that decision is, they've answered many times over. They don't seem terribly interested in expanding upon the idea that they just don't want to shop Will Levis. And at the time when they've been asked these questions prior to training camp beginning, it made sense, because why would you shop Will Levis before he's been in training camp or been in preseason games where he might be able to actually look like something that another team would want? So maybe that was coming eventually, but right now they had actively expressed a disinterest in trading Will Levis. So if Will Levis can't go somewhere else to play football, but comes in to another offseason thinking that he's going to be able to play himself into another opportunity elsewhere, why would he get the surgery in February? Makes no sense. Makes absolutely no sense for him. Could make sense for you, but it doesn't make sense for him. So then he goes through the offseason program, and according to everything that I've been told, felt good enough. The team is not the one making the decision for him to have the surgery. So the team felt that he was in a stable enough situation to continue on should he want to. So then the NFL takes its 6 weeks vacation after the middle of June until tomorrow for us when they'll report. And Will Levis spends that time seeking additional medical consultation. Also seeking advice from his representation that was actively seeking trade partners for him. And when the medical consultations, multiple that he receives, tell him, yeah, it'd probably be in your best interest to shut it down. And the representation comes out and says, well, if they're not going to trade you and you're not going to play football somewhere else, then why would you play football for this team if you could have the opportunity to shut it down, take your time, get right, not have to risk further injury for the sake of being a backup quarterback, come back next year, get cut, get moved, whatever the case may be, and improve your professional viability elsewhere. This was the least offensive of the things that Will Levis could have done. I understand why that might not be acceptable for some people. Nothing Will Levis does for some people is going to be acceptable. He's just in this state for some of you where you are going to disagree with everything Will Levis adjacent. Some of you are already like that before he got here, when he was at Kentucky, when he was drafted. And those people get to look as right as humanly possible today and say, I told you so, and this is nobody could have predicted how badly it was going to go, both on the field and off the field for him. Because it's been a nightmare off the field for him too. And I don't think he's not clamoring for sympathy. And I feel like there's a little bit of a human element that allows you to have a little bit of sympathy for this human being, because it sucks to go through what he did, even though, as we've talked about, his performance is entirely on him. And also Nicholas Petitfrere. I don't think he should be completely absolved from this conversation. NPF deserves some blame too. But I think that for Will Levis, what other option did he have? You're not going to do it at the end of the season because you want to come in and compete. The Titans haven't drafted Cam Ward in February, so maybe you're still holding out some semblance of hope. You shouldn't, but you may be holding out some semblance of hope that they're not going to take a quarterback. Okay, they take a quarterback. Well, that's fine. I can come into camp, I can compete, I can put some good tape out there, somebody else will want me. Okay, well, that's not heading the direction that we want to go, because the team who I'm currently on that no longer has a use for me as a starter is still interested in keeping me as a backup. No, thank you. For what? I can be a backup somewhere else and potentially earn another opportunity to start. Here, he's not getting back into the starting lineup unless something god-awful happens to Cam Ward. So, from his standpoint, if not the team's standpoint, it makes the most sense. From a team standpoint, they clearly see something in Will Levis that they are trying to salvage, that they would have liked to salvage, and he took that option away from them. I think that's his right. You may disagree with that as a fan of the team because you want the team to succeed, not the individual player. But if you're asking me, I've got zero issue with the way that Will Levis has handled this particular situation. I've got plenty of issues with everything, so many other Will Levis things in his life that don't need to be nitpicked or relitigated here. But this, no, he's fine here.
Jalen brings up something that maybe other people in their cars or wherever the hell you're listening at may also have a question. He literally worked out in minicamp. How'd he pass to get through that? How would you respond to that?
How'd he pass to get through that?
Yeah, how did he pass, like, in practice? How did he throw in practice?
Oh, he looked fine. Yeah, I mean, there was nothing to me, again, untrained eye. And we asked him about it. Can I hear from Brian Callahan in the offseason program talking about Will Levis? Because it's not like we didn't spend the better part of a month and a half with them, watching them, talking to them about a variety of different things. You want to play Levis again, or you want to play Callahan?
Let's start with Callahan.
All right, let's hear from Brian Callahan on Will Levis's progress this offseason.
That's through 2 days. What have you seen?
Very pleased. Very pleased. I think Will's doing a great job playing on time. Obviously we're again focused on a little bit more of the timing elements, the shorter passing game. But man, he's been really impressive. I think his hard work this offseason and over the summer has really paid off. He's incredibly confident right now, and he's earned that confidence. And every day that he comes out and plays well, he earns more confidence. And I think that's the fun part about where he's at. He's dialed in. He has studied. You can just tell he's ready for what's ahead. And I think I told him yesterday, if he keeps stacking days like he had yesterday and today, he's gonna play pretty good football. And it's a day by day process, and we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. But I've been really pleased with where he's at.
Nothing to indicate that they were at all concerned about the shoulder. Because some follow-ups that I see on the live stream chat are, how is he healthy enough to practice? Well, same way he was healthy enough to play. He came back. I mean, he missed 3 weeks, but then he came back in and played. And we have talked about this. That 3-game stretch before, again, the wheels fell off was his best stretch of football all year long, coming back from that injury. It's easy. How can he practice? He's not getting hit. Then they do I almost cussed. They do dumb bleep, like drop him back with 10 seconds left to go in the first half of a game, a home game against the Texans or something like that. He gets clobbered, absolutely wrecked. Of course, that's going to send his shoulder spiraling again. And, all of the other performance-related stuff that he does, compounded with the fact that he's playing on a bad shoulder, is going to make it harder for him to get through. So could he play? Could he practice? Of course he could practice through all of this. But the question is, can he fully heal? If he's not fully healed, and that recovery without surgery is not going to be sufficient, he's saying, what the hell am I going to put myself through this again for? For what? Will Levis has done, in this specific situation, it may be the only specific situation with respect to Will Levis that he has done absolutely nothing wrong in the way that he's handled it. It may be the only one. It may be the only one ever. He could be a catastrophe after this, moving forward into his career. He could continue to make bad decisions in everything else that he does on the field that cause him to be the kind of problem that he was here as a player, not as a person. He wasn't a problem person, but you get my point. But this, he and the people advising him are correct about this, especially if the Titans were going to keep him without actively trying to move him. As they've said, they were not actively trying to move him. 615-737-1045 is the number. If you want to jump in there, you can. We'll hear from Will Levis a little later on. We'll also hear from Legarius Sneed, because the expectation is for Legarius Sneed and Lloyd Cushenberry to start the year on PUP, physically unable to perform, to start the camp, to start training camp, not the season, but to start training camp on the physically unable to perform list. That runs counter to something Legarius Sneed was saying not a month ago. We'll play it for you coming up next. Welcome back to the show, fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken. Lunch officially upon us. Check out any one of their fine Middle Tennessee locations. If you're in Atlanta, Birmingham, Dallas, Austin, Vegas, you can get some Hattie B's too. You can mobile order it if you want to. We're thinking about doing that to the studio here in just a little bit. 615-737-1045 is the number if you want to get involved. What is your reaction going to be if Legarius Sneed is not physically able to start training camp with the Tennessee Titans, as is the expectation? Legarius Sneed had an injury, a thigh injury, in October. He then missed the rest of the year after playing 5 games with a thigh injury that, according to him, when he spoke to us in between that, required more medical evaluation than he or the people evaluating him realized, required far more in-detail effort to correct the situation than just your average thigh bruise, as was initially thought. And Legarius Sneed ended up being one of the biggest reasons why Rand Carthon was not retained as the general manager en route to a variety of other bad decisions that were made for a roster that finished 3-14 last year. They were counting on him. And because of a health situation that was not something he had coming in, beyond his control, not his fault, I think it's important to say, Legarius Sneed was not able to be counted upon. The question is, will you be able to count on Legarius Sneed moving forward into the future? He didn't speak to us at all during this offseason program. The last time we, Titans media, talked to Legarius Sneed was on Locker Room Cleanout Day. Hell, it may not have been Locker Room Cleanout Day. I think it was the week of Locker Room Cleanout Day. Now, since then, he has had a lawsuit filed against him. He's got allegations that he was involved in a situation where a person was shot at, not killed, but shot at, and then allegedly he and his mother, Legarius Sneed and his mother, tried to repress the information or suppress the information by discouraging the alleged victim from reporting it. Victim then filed the lawsuit, which has been a part of the conversation around Legarius Sneed. Now, after all this time, Legarius Sneed still not able to participate in practice. This was him talking at his youth camp this summer in Louisiana, because all these players disperse once the offseason program concludes. He was around for the offseason program, by the way, not participating on the field, but around in meeting rooms and things like that. So he was with the team. But this is Legarius Sneed being interviewed. What's the outlet? What's the news outlet? Can you give me specifics?
This is KTAL in Shreveport, Louisiana.
KTLA?
KTAL.
KTAL in Shreveport, Louisiana, with the Legarius Sneed exclusive.
Minden alum Legarius Sneed was back in town this past week. After winning 2 Super Bowls with the Chiefs, the former 4th-round draft pick was traded to the Titans. He spent his first season in Tennessee sidelined due to injury, but Sneed says he's ready to get back to business.
I'm healthy as I've been. Last year, my first year didn't go as planned, but, it's time to come out and, show the world and show what God's been instilling in me this entire year. I'm ready to get back on the field, and that's my life. That's what I do for a living. And I missed the whole year, and, I have to remind everybody who Legarius Sneed is.
Sure, okay. Take your word for it. But the thing that's going to stick out there is what? What immediately jumps out to you about that clip?
I'm as healthy as I've ever been.
I'm as healthy. Well, he said he didn't say the word ever. I'll give him credit.
I'm the healthiest man in the world.
He said, I'm as healthy as I've been, which is not very healthy. Maybe he intended to say I'm as healthy as I've ever been. That's possible. Maybe he just, slip of the tongue. We've been criticizing each other today for not being able to get our sentences out clearly. So maybe it just happened to Legarius Sneed, or maybe he's protecting himself by saying, I'm as healthy as I've been, which is not healthy at all. If he starts on PUP in training camp, that would indicate to me what? If he starts on the physically unable to perform list, does that indicate health?
That indicates that he is physically unable to perform.
So what are we talking about? Healthy as I've been. Are you referencing the health that you've not had? While still, pounding your chest a little bit and say it's time to remind people who Legarius Sneed is? Okay, that would be swell.
Now that you say it, I do hear that. It's like, yeah, I'm as healthy as I've ever been.
Like, if I was him, that'd be a real slick way to protect myself. Be like, no, don't misquote me. I'm as healthy as I've been, not as I've ever been. But I'm assuming that what he intended to say there, and it's an assumption that I can only make because Legarius Sneed hasn't talked to anybody other than this local Shreveport, Louisiana news outlet that came to cover his youth camp, which is a good thing that the players get to do to give back to the community, not faulting him for that at all. It's just, not available to us. Okay. Spoke to a local news outlet saying he's as healthy as he's been. I'll use the exact quote for the sake of accuracy here. But that statement implies that he's as healthy as he's ever been, that he's ready to get back to work, that he's ready to remind people who he is. That, to me, indicates him saying he's healthy. If he starts on PUP, and it's not because of the degenerative condition that they knew they were going to have to manage in bringing him in anyway, and it is something related to the injury that he had last year, then he is not healthy. Then why is he talking about being healthy? Why even reference his health?
Well, we have a classic Toby Keith, I'm not as good as I once was situation where are you familiar? The two women approach him in the bar and say, hey, you're the only cowboy in this place. If you're up for a rodeo, we'd love to put a big Texas smile on your face. And he's like, well, girls, I'm not as good as I once was. But basically comes around to say, like, if it's
I'm
love
as good once as I ever was. I know the song.
I have a little bit to give you. So I think that's what he's doing. He's saying, like,
so
hey,
what, 5 more games of Legarius Sneed and then we're calling it quits?
Yes. Well, that depends if he sees his shadow or not.
I don't really know this person, okay? Let me say that on the front end. He hasn't been around enough for us to get to know the actual person. He hasn't been here very long. He has been here for a year, but he hasn't been around for a year, right? He played 5 games. He got hurt. He did a couple interviews. He wasn't terribly forthcoming in those interviews, and that's fine, again, as is his right. But I'm trying not to make any judgments of the person as opposed to judgments of the player. And even then, I hesitate a little bit because his health is not in his control. I mean, it is to an extent. You have the ability to recover and rehab and heal and prepare yourself as much as humanly possible, train, condition, all these different things. There is some component of health that is in your control. But the way he got hurt was not his fault. He got a helmet to the thigh, caused a bunch of different issues, and that ended up being way longer term than anybody could have possibly imagined, including, I'm sure, him. But then, Robert, what's happened since then is the legal situation. Whether he gets cleared of the charges or they're not charges, cleared of the allegations or not remains to be seen. As of yet, he has not been. So that then colors my opinion of the person as opposed to the player, because injury not in your control, your degenerative knee situation, not your control, but you've taken steps to manage it properly. Your level of play in those 5 games was poor. That's as bad as Legarius Sneed's ever looked before the injury. You take time away from the team because you're dealing with this injury. You get yourself into a legal situation, whether it ends up having long-term consequences, whether you end up getting charged with something. If you do get charged of something and the NFL's personal conduct policy comes for you afterwards, which is an additional wrinkle to this, should it go to those lengths, that is in your control. Saying things like, I'm as healthy as I've been, but alluding to or hinting at the idea of don't call it a comeback. Okay. But then you're not available for training camp beyond your management program, or you're not expected to be available for the start of training camp beyond your management program. And you're touting the idea of, I need to remind Legarius Sneed, or I need to remind people who Legarius Sneed is. I have no idea who this person is. I know the player that I saw for 5 games was not good. I know it sure as hell wasn't the 2-time defending Super Bowl champion that was on one of the best defenses in football, playing for arguably the best defensive coordinator in the sport right now, Steve Spagnuolo. And that when he came to a place that was less than, he became also less than. You can't count on Legarius Sneed this year. The season hasn't even begun. But what single shred of evidence do I have to the idea that this player, and beyond that, this person, can be relied upon? Other than he keeps saying things like, I'm going to remind people who I am. I have no idea what that means. I don't care about your 2 Super Bowl wins other than it's something to put on your resume, and that's a nice thing for you. I'm happy for you. Congratulations on your success. Your success has not followed you here. In fact, it's gone quite the opposite. You could not find 2 more different experiences than Legarius Sneed in Kansas City and Legarius Sneed in Tennessee. I don't hold it against him that he was acquired here. That's on people who, well, one got fired, the other one didn't. Chad Brinker's still in that job. And in fact, they brought somebody in who executed the trade that was to the benefit of the Chiefs and Mike Borgonzi. He's running the show. It's now his problem again. After he did the right thing on behalf of the team that he was, I guess, doing the deal for. I can't tell Titans fans how to feel about Legarius Sneed. That's entirely up to you. But I'm going into this thing with more suspicions than I've ever had about Legarius Sneed, because what choice has he left us with? 615-737-1045 is the number if you want to jump in. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch is where you can live stream the show. Q on YouTube, which is fair pushback, says, I feel like we're making more out of his words than what is actually necessary. This is the reason most players don't like talking to the media. Okay, but his words do matter. So I'm to just assume that his words don't matter.
I think it's multiplied by the fact that we have never really heard from him since this whole situation happened. It's the injury.
We've heard from him twice since the injury. We heard from him,
and one of them was in a video package
before he went on. Well, no, that's 3 times. Once before he went on injured reserve, initially after the injury. The second time, not again until January, after he had this procedure and updated us on some details which were relevant to the conversation. I had no idea that a thigh contusion could require a bone marrow transplant. Never heard of that before. And then this third instance, because he didn't speak at all this offseason, about his updating his situation. And listen, there is nothing wrong with him instilling confidence in himself. Nothing wrong with that at all. You do not get to the point that Legarius Sneed has gotten to by being somebody who doesn't work hard or somebody who doesn't care or somebody who doesn't want it, right? But this is the time. Like, how badly do you want it now that you're dealing with all this stuff? Or how much are you even capable of? It's not even, like, I don't even want to question the idea of how bad he wants it, because I don't think that's fair. What I question is, how much could he actually give them? What is there to reclaim on a more than $17.5 million a year contract? What does he actually have to give? And why is that not fair to question after the 5 games that you got, everything that happened after the fact, and the idea that he's probably going to start the year on PUP? I get why players don't like speaking to the media. I get that there are instances where media twist things that players say. Media is not innocent in that. But also, the worst version of that is trying to chalk things up to the media not telling your most convenient version of your story, which is why so many athletes, Tom Brady, Derek Jeter, so many other people are taking their documentary series into their own hands, where you don't have to do the uncomfortable parts. You just get to be the hero at the end of the day. That's fine. That's their right. It's an overcorrection. They want to spend the money to do it the way that they want to do it, not involve external forces like HBO did without incorporating Tiger Woods and telling the best sports documentary I've seen on Tiger because they didn't involve him in it. That's fine too. But I don't think that the thing that I think is unfair is people questioning how badly does he want it. The thing that is not fair to question is what does he actually have to give them, because you have zero evidence that this player is going to be the player that you paid him to be. Zero evidence to date. Not a shred. And there are going to be roster consequences as a result. Was Jarvis Brownlee good, or was Jarvis Brownlee the best option on a 3-win football team last year? I think objectively he was good.
He was impressive for a rookie.
Good
100%.
for a fifth-round rookie, thrust into his MO was almost a bit like Legarius Sneed's as a former fourth-round pick coming out of La Tech. I like the idea of Jarvis Brownlee being a depth piece. I don't like the idea of relying an entire year on Jarvis Brownlee to play, one, out of position because he should be a nickel, and two, having to do it because the $17.5 million corner just can't do the things that you're paying him to do. And that doesn't even have to be his fault. Like, I'm not mad at Legarius Sneed about that. I mean, I would be upset about Legarius Sneed with the off-the-field stuff. Like, make better decisions. Don't put yourself in a situation where that would even ever come up, no matter how you got there. Just avoid it at all costs. There is no reason to put yourself in a situation like that. That is really the only thing to be bothered with, to be upset personally with Legarius Sneed at, is the ongoing legal situation that does not yet have a resolution. Everything else, football happens to people. Football happened to Legarius Sneed last year and knocked him down off the pedestal that he's been riding high off for a couple of years. Now he comes to a place with expectations that desperately, desperately needs him, and he can't give them what they need. That's not a question of effort to me, but at a high variance position like corner, why is that not fair to question whether he's actually going to be able to do this and whether this is not going to continue to have lasting implications because he still has 3 years left on the deal? That's the crazy part. You're tied to this thing. And you can get out from under it this year without as much, or after this year without as much dead money associated as currently, without having to take a full-on hit. But God, if this isn't one of the worst contracts that they've done in the last couple of years. What's a worse contract that they've signed than Legarius Sneed to date? Dillard's up there. Would you include how long? Are you talking about this front office? Or I just mean generally. Like, let's just take in the last, even going back to John Robinson. Vic Beasley is a worse contract. But even then, that was a 1-year deal. That's what I'm saying. Like, the 1-year deals comparatively, like, I would this is still tougher because you gave money in addition to trading an asset to get him. That's the tough part about it. So again, this is not a case against Legarius Sneed personally, but it is absolutely fair skepticism about the player. That's the most important thing for the purposes of our discussion. How he handles it is entirely up to him. You hope for his sake that he's able to overcome the health situations that he's been put in, and that he does do what he's saying in that clip, which is come out better for it on the other side and remind people who Legarius Sneed is. That would be a blessing to everybody involved because they need him. They so badly need him. They're not going to be able to solve all their problems this year anyway, but he was supposed to be a solution, and all it has done is compounded into more problems. Beyond that, Lloyd Cushenberry starting the year on PUP, that should be an expectation. Starting the camp on PUP is an expectation. I know he was super optimistic, super optimistic about the idea of being ready to go for training camp. I don't fault him for that at all. That's one of those things where you have to take a little bit of a grain of salt with what the player is saying, because of course they're going to try and manifest that situation. And I don't blame Sneed for manifesting it or trying to. I don't blame Cushenberry for trying to manifest it, but you have to be realistic. It's also tough with a player of his stature, right? Like if you're making that much money, it behooves everyone involved for you to rush back and potentially get hurt again, and then for them to lose you for another calendar year. I would almost prefer them to rock and roll with Corey Levin or whoever the hell's going to play center in the meantime, and let Lloyd get to as close to 100% playing as he could get. Because if you come in there and you get hurt in training camp, all you've done is hurt yourself, because all offseason you had the expectation that you would have him at some point. You did not plan a backup. Very few teams come out and be like, I have a backup plan at center. Jarvis Brownlee bailed their ass out last year. 100%. Bailed their ass out last year. So did Darrell Baker Jr. Correct. Easy for me to say. Oh, never made a mistake. Never made a mistake. I'm looking at one of my mistakes right now. Yes. I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone. Shut up. Welcome back to the show. Fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken. Last segment for the day. Blaine and Zach, 3HL. They're going to continue to react to the news of what's going on with the Titans. So Levis out for the year. Legarius Sneed and Lloyd Cushenberry to start on PUP. And some questions around Kevin Winston Jr. and Khalil Mullings. But right now, it doesn't seem like those two players will at least start camp on PUP. Press conferences tomorrow. First practice of training camp Wednesday. Our training camp interview series will begin on Wednesday. We will carry the press conferences live. I will be there. We are going to drag Lucas back into the studio kicking and screaming so that I can go to these press conferences. I don't care if he just sits here and stares at the microphone. He's going to sit in here and do it.
I'm excited for my big booty buddy to come back.
How much fatter do you think he's gotten since he's been eating Brazil?
Those videos.
I mean, they're outrageous.
Just
the videos
such
of the food.
thirst traps of just like the juiciest meat being cut on a cutboard. I told him he needs to stop. He needs to blur those before putting him on Instagram. I don't think he'll get fat. He's born with that lucky Italian genetic where his
Italians absolutely get fat.
No, have you seen not the ones that live with their moms? He has to get married first before he gets fat.
Oh, so when Megan becomes his full-time sugar mama.
Yes, then maybe
because he's just coasting.
Yeah,
right?
but Italians look good, chunky with a little belly. You know, Tony Soprano. Like you wear the. You can't call them this anymore. What are they called? You can't call them what we used to call them. The things that Tony Soprano wears, or
what?
We used to call them wife beaters, but you can't call them that anymore.
Why can't you call them a wife beater?
Because you can't.
Oh, of the connotation.
Oh, yes, that you beat your wife. Yes, that's why you can't call them that.
I wear wife beaters.
What do you call them now? What's the PC?
A tank top? Is that what that is?
Tank top. We'll call it a tank top.
Okay.
When Italians wear tank tops, that's a good look for a little chunky guy. Have a little chest hair, have a little gold chain, have a little belly.
Yeah, but he's the rare hairless Italian.
That's true.
Like I don't get that.
We tried to get him to grow his hair out.
He came with a built-in Brazilian wax. Head to toe.
That's a lucky mix right there. Brazilian, Italian, usually hairy, but only in the good spots.
Either way, his ass is coming back here, and we are going to make sure. That he is here to guide you through the press conferences while I go ask questions at the press conference. Obviously, Levis, Sneed, Cushenberry, Winston, Mullings, Ward. All of these things will be asked about beyond many, many other things during training camp practices, not in the too distant future in Tampa and Atlanta. They're going to keep the team on the road for 9 straight days. Obviously, I'm not going to do 9 straight days on the road. I'll probably come back for the weekend and then wrap the rest of it up. But we are going to update the polls here in a second. Last call for phone calls. Let's get to Luke up next. Hey, Luke.
Hey, Buck. Hope you are having a good day. So I couldn't help but notice last week, you were heavily critical of poor Bert while he was bedridden and ill.
Rightfully so.
Now, obviously he's got to quit smoking, but I've heard on some occasions that, you've mentioned you'll happily bum a cig from him when you are out drinking and partying. So I think you're an enabler, and you can't have your cake and eat it too. You need to help Bert, be a good friend, and help him quit smoking so that he can be here forever and he can be by your side one day on your deathbed. All right, see you.
Okay. That assumes that Bert is going to last longer than me, which is 0% chance.
Oh, yeah, I would outlive you.
0%.
My granny used to eat country ham and smoke a pack a day, and she lived to be 167.
Also, that assumes that I'm a good friend, and I'm not content to watch Bert smoke his lungs away and just occasionally bum the one off him.
Yeah, it's tough, Luke, because you're talking to Mr. Have Your Cake and Eat It Too. So
I do. I literally am the definition of having my cake and eating it too.
He is the Marie Antoinette of getting your friends to stop smoking. Let them smoke cigarettes.
What did you say in my birthday post yesterday? Somebody who uses pores as both a noun and a verb?
Yeah, you like that? I thought it was good. And then the second part, I would never leave you unless it was for someone who paid more and bitched less.
I feel like I am the only reason for your professional existence at this point in time.
Don't do that. Just when I was starting to like you, dude.
For what? Right, like that's ever bothered me before.
Yeah. Polls?
Yeah, let's get out of here.
The polls brought to you by Two Rivers Ford, the most trusted Ford dealership in all of the South. What is your reaction to Will Levis's decision to have season-ending shoulder surgery next week? Zach Allen says, goodbye me. Matthew Vaughn says, honestly, some relief. I hate to see it in the meteoric decline, but the man is a massive contributor to me hating football Sundays. Not letting Callahan off the hook, but I'm almost in a, quote, rooting against, end quote, the Titans because of QB play.
I think some Titans fans were actively rooting against their own team, not just for a better draft pick, but because they hated watching their team play last year. I can sympathize. Nate Washington, former Titans wide receiver who will join us later in the week, called it trash. He doesn't think much of Will Levis's decision at all. He thinks it's very intentional. I would add it absolutely is. And Nate, as a former NFL football player, disagrees with it. And we will get Nate's opinion on that later in the week.
Do you want the Titans to pursue a better backup quarterback option? 60% say yes. 39% say ride it out. We got a good response here from Brandon Connect saying, the roster stinks. A backup isn't getting us into the playoffs. No reason to give up any assets to acquire one. No one said anything about giving up assets to acquire one.
I would just go scoop one off the practice squad. You got the number one waiver order claim. What are you doing? Give up assets?
Yeah, no one's going to go buy light bulbs for this burnt down house.
Did you not just hear that whole Sneed diatribe I just did? Come on.
What's the biggest unknown heading into Titans camp? Brian goes, well, Ward. I mean, the Brian, not to be confused with Brian, says everything. And Eldon English, what will the Titans' record be at the end of the season? I don't think you understand how this works, buddy. Isn't a question and answer. We just need the answer from you.
Yeah, just don't keep it simple, stupid. Which is something that you could probably accuse us of on a regular basis.
But I do think it's at this point it is Legarius Sneed, right?
It's either Sneed or off-ball linebacker. But even then, I know that Cody Barton's going to be there. I just don't know what the hell's going to be next to him. Maybe how bad their pass rush is going to be.
I could see that, and I think we'll have a better understanding of the layout of the land. I'm so excited to be out there. It is genuinely...
Oh, I have to take you too?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Me, you, and Lucas will all be out there.
Oh, no.
Did you think I was going to stay back here?
I thought I could get rid of you and just take Kirby.
No. Me and Kirby are going to be out there hanging out, definitely not smoking any cigs behind the van. It's going to be a great time. But genuinely...
Just assume the two of you are hotboxing that van.
Never inside the van, always outside the van. It's one of my favorite times of the year because it's the symbol. It's like the rooster crowing in the morning, right? It is the symbol that football is back. There are tangible things, important things going on, and I'm glad that they send the dumbest people, me, you, and Lucas, out there to comment on this. Ramon and Will, very smart. Glad that they will be out there, but practices start before the show begins now.
Lovely.
Previously, you were not able to watch, so I'm interested in your practice gatherings.
Oh, no, I just let Lucas do the show, and then I go watch.
I'm going to bring you a pair of binoculars this year so you can look like a total goober.
Buddy, as I age, I'm going to have to start using those in the press box. I've been making fun of Kaharski and Glennon for their binoculars for years.
No, you would have a monocle. You would have give me a bi-monocle, please, sir. And they would bring it in, and it'd be gold-plated, and you would hold it with, the little stick thingy.
A bi-monocle?
A bi-monocle, yes.
Those are known as bifocals, which are?
Dumb.
Glasses.
No, see.
A monocle. No, mono,
see, what
singular,
you don't understand is
one.
It is two mono.
Oh, two separate monocles?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Those are the polls.
Thank God the show's over. Thank God football season is back. I didn't even have to open my laptop today. We just sat down and went. That was glorious. Press conferences tomorrow. More Titans news. Primetime tonight. We'll react if the rest of it comes out later today. See you tomorrow.